turnout. You know, it's such a privilege to be here with you all today. And as I've been thinking through what to share over the last week, two main things have come to mind. An incredible declaration in Genesis and this concept of light. In Genesis 1, we see this tremendous declaration that humanity is created in the image of God. That is central to understanding the nature of humanity. Different from any other faith, this implies that humans have inherent dignity, value, and worth given to them by an incredible creator. In fact, this is one of the most fundamental statements shaping our understanding of human life and human rights. On the other hand, we consider this concept of light. There are over 200 references to light in the Old and New Testament, and they beautifully weave through, starting, of course, again in Genesis with the creation of light and the separation from darkness. We then see Jesus, who was sent as the light of the world, and now us as representatives of that light. Think on that for a moment. You see, friends, whilst these physical wars have raged against Israel for a very long time, so too has the spiritual one. And it will be very unwise to say otherwise, because this is ultimately an epic clash of worldviews and ideologies, a battle of light versus darkness. Western civilization was built upon the Judeo-Christian ethic. The preservation of this foundation is paramount. It is the only antidote to a tyrannical philosophy, including that of Hamas. Hamas has always had one mission: to kill the Jews and wipe Israel off the map. Nothing about Hamas communicates inherent worth, freedom, or life. Hospitals, schools, Palestinian families used as human shields. You see nothing about Palestine as free because it is driven by an ideology that models the antithesis of life and what it means to be created in the image of God. What happens on October 7th was an unspeakable tragedy, yet so many protesters I spoke to in Perth at the time had no idea what many of these slogans meant. It actually struck me that there was a complete unawareness about the history of Israel and its people, and more so that of a Hamas ideology. How is that possible? You know, I often thought if there were more courageous leaders speaking the truth, these protesters wouldn't be waving around flags or signs that said Free Palestine and vilifying Jewish students on campuses. They would be waving signs that says Free Palestine from Hamas. And those protests would have taken place in solidarity with the Jewish community to fight back against an ideology that celebrates death, chaos, and violence. So in closing, while we stand together with Israel and absolutely against any form of anti-Semitism, it is so important that we also stand together in prayer and that we discern the battle ahead. I hope you will too, continue to pray for our leaders and our MPs that they would govern and make decisions remembering that core value, that they represent image bearers, people with inherent value, dignity and worth. We cannot give tyranny an inch. As image bearers, we are called also to be salt and light. And isn't it incredible when Jesus is speaking to the multitudes on the mount, he says, "You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Through Jesus, we can be light that dispels darkness, and we can be the salt that acts as a preservative for that which is good. The Judeo-Christian worldview is a game changer because it sets the standard for a flourishing and free humanity. Friends, our Judeo-Christian foundation is not only worth celebrating, but it is worth defending. Never again is now, and it starts with us being the light, bringing the truth, and reminding ourselves that every person is created in the image of God. Thank you.